Alright, here's how it's going down, guys. This week we're doing a sober and serious-minded tribute to the filmmaker Akira Kurosawa.
I'm glad we brought this big ball of fun back to the podcast.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Nothing. Just saying the podcast was a lot more fun when you weren't here.
Really? Roll the clip.
And we'll get through
We're all gonna die! Point taken, but can't we try to put a little humor into this topic?
I'll tell you what, if we can think of something funny and respectful, then we'll put it in.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you say respectful?
Oh, this is gonna be a challenge.
We'll be young till the day that we die. Oh, everything I wish I could teach you to fly. Teach you to scream and shout. Hope you can understand why.
This week on the Film Geek Primer, we're going to talk about one of the world's greatest directors. Not greatest director of our generation, or greatest director of the silent era or of Japanese cinema, but the greatest director ever, Akira Kurosawa. Born in 1910 in one of the suburbs of Tokyo, Japan.
Kurosawa lived through an incredibly turbulent time for Japan, including the 1923 Great Earthquake and, of course, the Second World War.
A little rough.
His apprenticeship started with making propaganda films for the studio that would eventually become Toho.
Actually, they promoted nationalism. Propaganda's a little harsh.
He started coming into his own in post-war Japan with some great films, including Stray Dog and Drunken Angel.
He used subtext to sneak his messages by the American occupation censors.
Subtext. That's a good word.
So's the word focus.
Drunken Angel, made in 1948, was significant in Kurosawa's career because it was the first time he teamed up with Toshiro Mifune.
Mifune was Kurosawa's favorite leading man and starred in his best and most successful pictures, including Rashomon, Seven Samurai, High and Low, and Yojimbo.
Mifune was the De Niro to his Scorsese, the Divine to his Waters, and the Albert Brooks to his Albert Brooks.
When Rashomon won the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival in 1950, Kurosawa was internationally heralded as the genius that he is, although the film was not a commercial success in his homeland of Japan. Through the 50s, Kurosawa developed his visual style. One of our favorites is the role that nature plays in his films.
He also believed that he got a better performance from his actors if the camera was placed further away from them. In many ways, this reflects the Muromachi period of Japanese painting, in which the human subjects are dwarfed by the broad and austere landscapes around them.
That's really only part of it, but it's good enough for now.
Kurosawa was also known for the way he merged other influences with his unmistakably Japanese style. He drew inspirations from Shakespeare, making Throne of Blood based on Macbeth, Ron based on King Lear, and The Bad Sleep Well, which is based on Hamlet.
He and I are both big fans of Russian literature. He made The Idiot based on the novel by Dostoevsky, and Redbeard is very similar to The Insulted and Humiliated.
Of course, American Western films were a great inspiration to him. He was greatly influenced by the Westerns of John Ford, and in turn, he influenced the Westerns of Sergio Leone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first Film Geek Primer reenactment.
You really like rain.
Wow, you've really been paying close attention to my movies. I just saw Fistful of Dollars. What a fine film, but it's my film.
Mamma mia! Here is $100,000 and 15% of the gross.
I am touched that my films inspired you and your epic trilogy Star Wars. I hear you plan to make more of them someday.
Misa believe that it is the goal of the artist to destroy continuity and create stereotypical characters that have no real meaning.
Seriously?
I learned it from Joseph Campbell.
No, you didn't.
I can't read.
No acting classes while I was gone, huh?
Yes, they were just really crappy classes.
Money well spent. In 1965, Kurosawa hit a turning point. Redbeard would be his last film in black and white, his last film within the studio system, and his last film with actor Toshiro Mifune. He and Mifune had a not-so-friendly parting of ways after Redbeard's grueling production schedule. They would unfortunately never speak to each other again. Kurosawa would then spend the next 5 years trying to get a project financed.
That project was 1970's Dodescadon, a film about the inhabitants of a garbage dump. Its poor reception and failure at the box office and the rise of the Japanese New Wave were some of the factors that led to Kurosawa attempting suicide.
He recovered, of course, and made all of his later films with international financing, sometimes from countries like the Soviet Union, sometimes from the deep pockets of admirers like Frankie Coppola and Big G. Lucas.
Literally big.
Throughout the 90s, Kurosawa turned to making very personal films. These would include Dreams, a series of vignettes based, of course, upon his dreams.
Look for Martin Scorsese as Van Gogh.
And Rhapsody in August in 1991, which were based off his memories of the horrors of Nagasaki. His final film was made in 1993, Matadayo. It's Japanese for not yet. A double meaning referred to the children's game hide and seek, and of course the answer to a question when the elderly teacher is asked if he is ready to die. Kurosawa himself passed away from a stroke on September 6th of 1998.
Quick recap.
Born in 1910, Akira Kurosawa did his early work for the Japanese propaganda machine. When the war ended, he blossomed creatively and made the superb films Stray Dog and Drunken Angel. He then wowed the entire world with Rashomon. It would be the first of many masterpieces.
The 50s and early 60s was Kurosawa's peak, and it's when he churned out many of his masterpieces. Ikaru in 52, Seven Samurai in 54, Throne of Blood in 57, and Yojimbo in 61. We here at the Film Geek Primer recommend all of Kurosawa's films. In fact, we won't even speak to you unless you've seen at least one.
Among cineasts and film geeks everywhere, Kurosawa is simply known as the Emperor. This is not a misnomer. It's impossible to explore the man and his career in a 6-minute podcast. What we are attempting to do here is create an introduction. That's why we're the Film Geek Primer and not the Film Geek Encyclopedia. If you'd like to learn more about Akira Kurosawa or any of the topics that we cover here on the podcast, visit our website at www.filmgeekprimer.com. Or if you have any questions, you can email us at filmgeekprimer@gmail.com. And I promise we'll be back to our usual antics in our next episode, coming soon to a computer near you.